Colleagues, in terms of our bathrooms are next to our reception area. I think you might have. Some on YouTube. There's a media sitting in Mpumalanga, Cape Town. Actually, across the globe, there are journalists that are requesting that we send them the link, so they are following. So we are live on YouTube. We are also live also on Facebook. Let me take this opportunity and allow the acting CEO to address us. After addressing us, there will be a session for question and answer. We will run the question and answer. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have. The colleagues that are joining us live from Facebook and YouTube are also allowed to ask questions. They know the protocols. We have shared with them how they are going to do that. And then after the question and answer, if you require a one-on-one session with the CEO or one of the executives, you'll also let us know. So for now, let's sit down and relax and allow the CEO to address us. Thereafter, we are going to have a question and answer session. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Over to you, Mr. Mkhulula. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director. I want to extend warm welcome to all members of the media present here today.
Can you increase the mic? Volume on the mic.
Thank you. Am I audible now? Thank you so much. I'm extending a warm welcome to all members of the media present here today, together with those that are joining us via live streaming. I also want to extend a warm welcome to my fellow colleagues. On the far left, we've got Pinky, who's the CFO, followed by Yako, responsible for safety, Josiah, responsible for air traffic services, Karel, responsible for operational technology, Gail, responsible for human capital, Jeff, responsible for air traffic management, as well as Mabitsi, who is the executive in the office of the CEO. Morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to ATNS media briefing. It is both a privilege and a responsibility to address you at this key moment in ATNS journey. Today's briefing is a reaffirmation of our dedication to transparency, operational excellence, and the restoration of trust among our stakeholders and the broader public. Over the past few months, ATNS has undertaken rigorous and focused efforts to stabilize our operations and rebuild the core capacity that underpins safe, efficient, and reliable air traffic management across the South African airspace. This journey has demanded resilience, strategic clarity, and above all, teamwork. I must say, as an entity, we take this opportunity to express our unconditional apology to the broader public, including our customers, for the inconvenience that resulted from our current operational challenges. Furthermore, we want to appreciate their patience and understanding as we navigate through this storm. We do not take their support lightly and assure them that the progress we have made to date is an indication that we are not too far from the end of the tunnel. I'll take you through a presentation that provides details on our progress to date, and as Mpilo has said, we'll take questions later on with the help of the colleagues. The presentation focuses primarily on the progress in relation to the recommendations made by the Committee of Experts, commonly referred to as MIT, or the Ministerial Intervention Team, as appointed by the Honorable Minister Barbara Creasy sometime last year. And after the adoption of the recommendation by the Board of Directors, which is led by the chairperson, Mr. Zola Majavu, the board immediately tasked management to put measures in place to implement the recommendations. I would first want to take you through, starting off with the performance of the organization for the year that has just gone by, the 2024-2025. As an entity, we achieved 79% on the performance based on the corporate plan we have we have signed with the minister. There were about 14 targets that we were chasing and tracking, and out of the 14, we achieved 11, with 3 being missed. And the 3 that have been missed are, number 1 is the customer satisfaction survey. I'm sure it would have been expected under the current environment that indeed we would not be able to reach the necessary levels, considering the challenges that we faced as an organization. So customer survey was not achieved. The second one is the external opinion. We have been targeting a clean audit opinion. However, we obtained an unqualified audit opinion, which is still a good opinion, but it wasn't as clean as we would have wanted it to, mainly due to some disclosure-related concerns. And the last one was the culture action plan that was also not achieved. And so that resulted in us achieving a total of 79% out of the 14 that we have been tracking during the course of the year. Quickly moving through to the financial performance, our revenue has shot up by about 4% to 1.8 billion. Regrettably, our EBITDA has gone down 22.9% from 240.9 million to 185.6, and the profit for the period remained steady at 22.3 compared to 23.3 in the previous financial year. Our total assets have improved from 2.7 to 3.1 billion. We now get through to the meat of the presentation, and that talks to the operational performance of the organization. It gives us pleasure to report that out of a total of 388 procedures that are in the country, broken down as follows: 181 en routes, what we refer to as the RNFs, the 176 instrument flight procedures, and the conventional en routes being 31. The total thereof, it's 388. We have in publication and approved 240 of those procedures out of the 388. That's the progress we've been able to make to date. We've recorded 240 out of the 388. This 240 is made up of procedures that are currently active that have been approved, and those that are in the ERIC cycle coming up on the 27th of November. There's about 4 or 5 of them. We'll get to them. The balance is the procedures that are active that have been maintained in this period. That gives us about 61% of the performance. However, included in the en routes, the conventional, the 31, there is about 27 that have not been flown in a while, and the engagements with the industry are such that this will be withdrawn and they will no longer be applicable. And so when you consider the when you take out the 27 out of the 388, which we are sure we will not be required to maintain because they are not being flown, they are obsolete. That gives us an effective performance of 66%. So almost 2/3 of the procedures that we are mandated to maintain have been maintained to date. We have a few procedures that are in the process of being published. We have those that have been approved, both the procedure and the chart having been approved, and they are currently observing the ERIC cycle. We have the Kimberley, we have Bloom, we have PE, and we have Kruger. All of these four will be coming into effect by the 27th of November this year. They have been approved. They are just going through the ERIC cycle. We equally have procedures that have been approved. However, the charts have not been approved as yet. These charts have been submitted and they are being processed. We are targeting the 25th of December to have these charts and procedures coming back online by 25th of December. So those would be some of the Kruger other runways, the Bloom, the Richards Bay, Umtata, as well as Polokwane. But it is important to note that the procedures for this have been approved by the Civil Aviation Authority. And the charts have equally been submitted to the Civil Aviation Authority, and they are just going through the normal process of consideration. We have procedures that have been approved. However, the charts have not been approved as yet. And these are two, being UP as well as Richards Bay. So this, we have the procedures approved by SACA. However, ATNS hasn't submitted the necessary charts as yet. Finally, we have one procedure, the Kruger, that's still in the design, and the chart is equally in design. So this is still within ATNS. They have not been processed further just as yet. Going into the breakdown of these procedures, we have indicated that we have a total of 176 instrument flight procedures. Out of this, we have 65 that's in maintenance, where maintenance has been completed, meaning it's both the chart and the procedure have been submitted to SACA. They are in operation, or they are awaiting the RX cycle, which is the 27th of November. Out of the 176, 101, as we speak here today, are on suspension. And out of the 101 that's in suspension, we have 98 that is still being reviewed by ATNS, and 13 of the 111 is pending withdrawal. So the 111, we are only looking at 98 because 13 may no longer be applicable, and so it would be withdrawn. We still have to engage with the industry on this, but the early indications we have as an organization, having worked with the industry on these ones, our view is that this may no longer be required in the future, and so it may be, they may have to be withdrawn completely. Moving over to the RNAVs, we have 181 RNAVs, and out of this 181, 175 have been completed. The maintenance has been completed, and they are being flown. We regrettably have 12 that are currently on suspension, and out of this 12 that's on suspension, 6 has been submitted to SACA for approval, and 6 is still with ATNS for rework. ATNS is still redesigning these and maintaining this. So out of the 181, we are really looking at 6 that's still outstanding out of the 12 that's currently suspended, with 175 fully operational. The last part then is the en route, the RNAVs, where we have indicated we have a total of 31, and 27 would in most likelihood be withdrawn later on. Just at a glance to give you a picture of where we are, so you would realize the areas where we do provide services. Excuse me. The map of the country incorporating all the airports. We do have Polokwane, that's still an issue. We have Richards Bay equally being an issue. That's where the maintenance have not been completed. And when we say not completed, we simply saying the entire process has not been finalized. When you look at Polokwane and Richards Bay, the procedures have been submitted. The charts are being worked upon by the Civil Aviation Authority to process them. For Richards Bay, it will come effective on the 27th of November. And for Polokwane, the chart is still undergoing the necessary process. You have Appington as well. But overall, when you look at the picture, we've got quite a few greens that do indicate areas where we do not anticipate challenges with either the access into those airports or the in-routes necessarily. With regards to what's coming up later on during the course of the month, G20 airports, we as a country have dedicated OR and Lanseria as the main airports for G20, including the Waterkloof. Obviously, the Waterkloof is the military airport. We're not really much involved in there. However, Johannesburg, together with Lanseria, are the main G20 airports. And we are happy to inform the public that the instrument approach procedures for Johannesburg as well as Lanseria are in place. We also have airports that have been designated as the parking airports for G20 purposes in the event of an overflow. Those will be Fale, Bloemfontein, Polokwane, as well as Kruger. Out of all of these, we do not anticipate any challenges except for Polokwane, because Polokwane it will only be effective on the 25th of December. However, when you look at the rest, they are available for parking as indicated. The entire program, we must say, it's envisaged to be concluded by July 2026. That's the all the procedures in the country, excluding those that would have been withdrawn. This full process will be completed by July 2026, based on the plan we have in place. What we have ensured, amongst others, is that in the main network airports, there is at the very least one predominantly used runway that has got a procedure covered so that there are no challenges in the event of bad weather. I now move off from the flight procedures to the skills, the critical skills levels. You would recall that the MIT, the Ministerial Intervention Team, had 4 areas. One was the flight procedure design. The second one is the skills within the organization. As we sit here, we want to inform the public that we are currently sitting at 82% of the key ATS staff complement. Our target is 567. As we sit here today, we are sitting at 465, giving us a total percentage of 82%. Our threshold for us to be able to run a seamless service is 80%. If we are sitting at 80%, we are able to run our operations with less challenges. We are currently overall sitting at 82%. We have plans in place to continue recruiting and training, and our projections are that by the end of this current financial year, across all the ATS staffing units, overall, we will be sitting at 95%. That's the staffing complement based on the known resignations, as most of the colleagues in line with the contract, their contracts have to give us enough time, as well as the pipeline that we have built for these environments. However, I must indicate that while we are sitting at 82%, we still have some challenges, particularly at OR Tambo. And these are the splits for OR Tambo. together with Cape Town. For Cape Town, we are way above the 80% threshold. When you look at the tower, we are sitting at 86%. The approach and the ATSO, we're sitting at 91%. We still have some challenges with OR Tambo in that for the tower, we are way below our target. Our target, as I've indicated, is 80%. We're currently sitting at 67%. Approach, we're sitting at 57%, and area, we're sitting at about 61. Our projections up until December this year is that we will be sitting at 77% for the tower, 63% for the approach, and 68% for the area north side as well. We're following up the OR Tambo quite closely because this is the busiest airport, and the very fact that it takes us a bit of time to get bodies behind position for OR Tambo. Hence, we track it on a monthly basis, and as well as a quarterly basis. We also want to just provide you with some indications of where we were at March, which was the end of the financial year, insofar as these two biggest airports are concerned. For the period March, we were sitting at 330. When you look at the rest of the OR as well as Cape Town, and we were sitting at 231 against the plan of 330. By October, we had been able to increase that number by about 34 headcount to 265. And this, as we have indicated, we're hoping that by end of the quarter, it will have gone up so that we are able to have 77% for the tower, 63% and 68% for the approach as well. Coming to the CNS infrastructure, we have quite a number of systems that we have. We'll not go into the details of the systems, but for example, we have 22 sites that are covered by the VHF communication. We've got 3 networks, which we refer to as the VSAT networks, both in the country as well as on the continent. We have 11 sites for voice communication switches. And out of all of these things, we have scheduled interventions sitting at the tune of 535 million. This is for the communication systems. We have the navigations where we've got VORs. There isn't much of scheduled interventions as this environment is relatively stable as we speak today. The last area would be the surveillance and displays. And this talks to the radars we have, the ASMGCS, the air traffic flow management systems. The scheduled interventions within a period of 12 months is sitting at 1.6 billion. Out of this 1.6 billion, the board, as we have indicated, led by Mr. Zola Majavu, has already approved 1 billion. And this 1 billion is at different stages of contracting with the service providers. And so we're working quite hard to activate the contracts so that we are able to get the work running from the ground. Lastly, we move to the safety management system. And we just want to indicate that as an entity, we get audited by various assurance providers internally and externally. And as at the end of February, we had 606 findings. Of those 606 findings, 44% were closed at the time, and 15% were overdue. As we sit here today, we have 1,312 findings, and 77% of this has been closed, and we have no overdue findings. This just talks to the improvements that we have been able to put in place to ensure that South Africa remains safe and there are no concerns. And we must also indicate that there are no accidents that are attributable to ATNS. We must also indicate that the Kenzo safety management maturity, global average is sitting at 75%, and ATNS is sitting at 81%. So we're doing relatively well and above the global average insofar as the safety is concerned. As I conclude, I want to take this opportunity to extend my appreciation to the Minister of Transport, Minister Barbara Creecy, for her unwavering support since we embarked on this journey, the Board of ATNS for their sterling leadership and guidance, the Committee of Experts as appointed by the Minister, who have been very instrumental in providing leadership and guided us this far and continue to do so. We also want to acknowledge the role played by the Director of Civil Aviation of Authority, Ms. Poppy Koza, together with the staff within SACA that has always been willing to assist us when we were faced with very tight timelines. The appreciation that we are in this together is greatly appreciated. We also want to thank the ATNS staff for keeping their heads high as we were navigating this storm. Lastly, the flight procedure design and cartography teams for their resilience, which saw us delivering the volumes that surpassed the expectations. We must also indicate that we are fully aware that we are not out of the woods yet, and we will not put our foot off the pedal. But it is important that we take a moment and pause and reflect on the progress and acknowledge the tremendous work done by our employees. We are confident that the timelines we have set for ourselves for concluding the entire process will be met. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you as I hand over to Mpilo.
Thank you so much, CEO, for your presentation. Colleagues, we are getting into the question and answer session now. May I request that we conduct it in this fashion? Can I have 2 questions in this room, and then we will also take 2 questions from our online media. 2 questions from this room, and then 2 questions from the online media. Let me say it from the onset, CEO, that there are a lot of questions that are coming through online. It's a big batch like this. So I want us to then manage our time as well. I see 2 hands in the room, the third one. Maybe let me just take 3 in this room now, and then I'll take 2 from the online. Then we'll then respond after that question. Those questions have been asked. Let me start you with Nagbo. Heidi, start.
It's okay, I know you don't want me to ask questions. It's Heidi Jokos from ENCA. As much as you've made progress, I'm just a little bit concerned about the fact that Polokwane remains a concern and it's listed as one of your G20, even though it's just for parking. But how confident are you that you're going to be able to sort that out before G20? And then, as much as G20 is important, so are South Africans, and many have been left frustrated at the fact that flights have been disrupted. You're moving into a very hectic season for festive where traveling is definitely going to peak. Are you really confident that you're going to be able to sort things out by then? Thank you.
And Dogozo from Newsroom Africa. My first question related to Heidi's first question, but particularly OR Tambo being the biggest airport. If you could please unpack a little bit more some of the challenges that you are facing there, but also in terms of the staffing issues, particularly when it comes to air control. You're in an area where there's, rife unemployment in the East Rand and a lot of young people. Are there any other, whether it be government agencies or public sector, that you're working with to fast track that training up of people in those jobs where you are short? Just the interventions, a little bit more details into those interventions.
Thank you. Let's pass the mic.
Good morning. My name is Katlego Logoti from the SABC. Mine is just to get a sense of how do we find ourselves here and how do we ensure that we don't actually get to find ourselves here. Once again, I haven't had the acting CEO give us a sense of an explanation as to what happened, what could have happened that has led us to where we are right now, but also the interministerial committee or the ministerial committee that is intervening. Is there somewhat of a timeline? Are they there forever? Are they going to cease to exist at some point? When the minister deployed them, did she give them a sense of when we get to maybe July 2026, this is where you guys end with your work? Or is there somewhat of an opportunity for them to carry on with overwatching or overseeing the work that you guys have been doing? You've mentioned as well that there are some procedures that will be taken out. They are absolute and would not be flown or maintained. Please give us a sense of what could be happening here. Are these some of the assets that would not be in use? Yeah, please just break it down for us so we can get an understanding of what absolute would mean when there have been some of these challenges at ATNS. Thank you.
Okay. May I request colleagues, I need the mic because I need to address the colleagues that are online, that let us take these questions and respond to them. And then the next batch is going to directly coming from online only. So please bear with us, colleagues. Let's start with this set of questions because they are quite a mouthful themselves. And then we'll take the other three that are coming through from online. Thank you so much. Over to you, CEO.
Thank you. I'll start from the SABC as we work backwards together with my colleagues here. And I'll talk to the issue of, how did we find ourselves here? The reality is that we, as an entity, being a design house, we are given 5 years to maintain flood procedures in the country. And we have not been able to comply with that requirement in the last 5-10 years. And we want to put it out there and say we could not maintain the procedures in the last 5-10 years. It wasn't out of lack of trying. We have tried quite hard at the time. Unfortunately, things just couldn't work out for ATNS. We have a shortage of flight procedure designers, not only in the country, but globally. There's a huge shortage. As we sit and when you look at the current scope, what we have been able to achieve, we have been able to achieve this with only 2 permanent resources within the organization, 2 resources, and 5 contracted services. And out of these 5 contracted services, some of them are ATNS ex-employees. We have now left the organization. 2 is in the UAE, 1 is in the UK, and then the other 2, it's here locally. You will understand that we are unable to compete with the oil money in the UAE. We are unable to compete with the dollar monies, and employees would then, given the scarcity of the skills they possess, would consider best offers elsewhere, despite our best attempt to retain them. We have a pipeline currently of 7 trainees at various stages of training process. A lot of them will be coming through. Machoba will give more details sometime next year, and they will be qualified and they will start working. So really in the past, it's been an issue of the resources. We just could not secure enough resources. And over a period of time, we've then resolved to ramp up the unit by ensuring that we've got a good pipeline going forward. So we believe that with the pipeline we have, we should be able to get there. I must say that while we have had to suspend quite a lot, it doesn't necessarily mean that there wasn't work happening. There was work happening, there was maintenance happening, but when you have a limited pool, it just could not cope with the 388 procedures. Machoa will also give you a brief background on how long it does take to design one procedure. It goes through various stages. You design, you hand over to a verifier. That verifier then hands over to a chief designer. So at any given point in time, it goes through three stages. And at each gate point, there's some checks and balances. And so if you only have two resources internally, already you are not even meeting the required threshold. And so over a period of time, we struggled with these resources. We have now stabilized the environment. We have brought in new resources, both contracted as well as the full-time employees within the organization. And we believe that as we proceed, we should be able to clear these issues. The third element we have done was to spend time globally trying to scout for more resources. And so we've got a few contracts that we have on our books, not activated as yet, as they still have to undergo a particular process of onboarding. We've got to get the necessary concurrence from our principals to get them fully onboarded. And so we've got about 4 or 5 other companies that we are working with. They have started with the first leg of the onboarding, which is the mock designs. And over a period of time, we believe that we should be able to onboard them fully. Regarding the MIT, whether they will be here for good or not, the MIT was appointed by the minister, so it's really within the prerogative of the minister to determine their term for ATNS. So we are not in a position to tell whether they are here up until July next year, as you have said, because it's the minister that appointed them. So we're just working with them as the minister has appointed them per se. I will then ask Machoba to respond on the all the issues relating to the maintenance. So he will talk to the maintenance as well as the Polokwane matter, and Josiah will talk to the unemployment, the challenges in relation to the air traffic controllers at OR Tambo. We can start with Josiah as the mic is closer to him.
Thank you, CEO. Yeah, thank you, CEO. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hope I will be audible this time. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, CEO, for the brief. And I will address the issue regarding staffing at OR as a challenge that we've outlined earlier on. Indeed, we do have a challenge sitting around 67%, in some other sectors around 57% staffing level. That staffing level is determined against a total requirement, including supervisors. And if you remove that and you only look at the operational personnel, our staffing level does, in terms of satisfying the service delivery, sit around just over 70%. In order for us to be able to mitigate the shortages, we also use our qualified managers, who naturally are not counted in the percentages that the CEO has shared with you. So we do then use them in order to complement our capacity. When it comes to training, as you have seen, we do have plans to improve our staffing level to above 80% as a starting or immediate focus. We have 2 approaches we use in order to staff our units. The first one, which is our primary source, is the training pipeline. We recruit from the youngsters that completed matric around 120 a year, and we also looking at ways and means to increase that number. That then gives us the capacity to be able to move the air traffic controllers from the ab initio training level to all the various technical areas that we require them: aerodrome control, approach control, and or area control. So to this end, we also use various agencies in order for us to test and recruit from the market. In some case, we also use the provincial governments or municipalities to engage with them to assist us in identifying personnel from their various areas. That part we haven't used quite often in the last few years, but it is something that we have done in the past, and I think it is an opportunity for us to engage the provinces as well as the other municipal areas. So in order to fast track the validation training process, we also recruit qualified controllers. In this case, some of those that have previously worked for ATNS and that had resigned and went to other areas, we then do recruit them back and make sure that they can be reintegrated back into ATNS. We do have such, especially those that would have acquired additional experience overseas and they are now wishing to come back home. We take that opportunity to get them back into our system. Also to use them to train the youngsters, put back into our training pipeline system from their experience that they would have gathered elsewhere. So those are our approaches on how we then address the staffing shortages at OR specifically and in general right across the country. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, CEO. I will start off with explaining the average time it takes for one to design a procedure. It's quite an intense process that goes into that. That is why globally there is a shortage of flight procedure designers. So on average, it takes about 25 days for a flight procedure designer to design one procedure. Just internally before it goes to South African Civil Aviation Authority for the validation, that is the ground validation. In essence, the ground validation is another process that the CAA ensures that the procedure is safe for it to be flown within the Republic. So that's that, and hence it takes quite a bit of time to turn things around. But like the CEO has indicated, we are at a point where after December we should be comfortable to say all our network airports have all the instrument approach procedures. The issue of OR Tambo has got 4 runways, depending who do you speak to. So you've got 4 runways, 2 are used for landing, and all those 2, they've got instrument approach procedures. We also have the 3rd runway that is predominantly used for departure, but it's got an instrument approach procedures that allows for that flexibility in case the other runway is blocked. So that's the progress that we have made on those issues. On the issue of Polokwane remain a risk. It's going to come live on the 25th of December, unfortunately. We will have to find a way between us and specifically Airlink to say in adverse weather what will be the approach. But in essence, in adverse weather, without a procedure, you can't land. And it's incumbent on the airline operators to make sure that they inform their clients that in adverse weather, you are unable to access the airport. That is only up until December 25th. On Christmas Day, Polokwane should be back online. On the issue of training, we have really intensified our efforts to make sure that we increase our capacity. We have 4 designers that are close to being solo. So around March, April, they should be solo. We've got other 3 that have just returned from Switzerland. They will be starting their OJT, on-job training instruction, in January. So we're expecting them to be added into the pool around June 2027. A key to this is the issue of retention, which is something that we have already started to make sure that we don't train and then we lose our people. It's the retention of the critical staff. Thank you very much, CEO.
Sorry, can I just interrupt and ask you, can you tell us what you're doing about retention?
Okay. Guidage, we are out of order. I will point you. Okay, yeah, I'll come to your question, Kailich, but let's allow the guys who are following us on YouTube and Facebook to ask their questions. The first one, I'm going to take three colleagues. One is going to be Lyndon Barnes, and then followed by Naila Ibrahim as well as Erica Gibson. Let me start with Lyndon Barnes. There are a lot of questions that are coming from his side. The first one regards to payments of bonuses 2024, 2025. Why did we do that? And how was it calculated? And what is the ex gratia payments related to? So that's a question from Lyndon Barnes. Talks to about 130 million that was paid 2024, 2025. Then let me also add this one around procedures. It looks like we are approving only single runway direction procedures. What about the status of the renewals around departures? I think Ms. Ibrahim also asked such a question, so I think it's going to be a repetition. So Erica Gibson is also asking a question to say, what's the status with the CEO? When are you expecting her to come back into the organization? That's the third question. Can you please provide an idea of the current status of the CEO's case that was suspended and whether she will return or not? So those were about three questions. Can we allow the team to respond to that? One is bonuses, two, single runway, and then the third one, the status of the CEO. Thank you. Over to you, CEO.
Thank you, Mpilo. I'll start off with the issue of the bonuses for 2024, 2025. That would be the current, the year that has just gone past. We have not declared bonuses for 2024, 2025. The board has not pronounced itself on the bonuses for 2024, 2025. I would imagine Mr. Benz would have gotten these from our financials. So we do make provision in our financials in the event that we perform as we should. And based on the performance of the organization, then bonuses would be triggered. We finalized our financials sometime in June, July, but there has not been any pronouncement on bonuses by the board. And so the amount you would have seen in the financials would have been a provision, which is an accounting process that might have to be reviewed should there be no bonuses declared for the current financial year. But I think it suffices to indicate that the board has not pronounced itself on the issue of the bonuses for 2024, 2025. The issue of ex gratia payments, I think it answers Mr. Guy Leach that the ex gratia payments that would have been picked up from the financials, I presume, are related to the retention amounts that have been paid to the air traffic services staff personnel. And I must indicate this is the core personnel within the organization. So considering that we are losing this staff and we are not able to keep up with the kind of remuneration they would command elsewhere, we found it important that we come up with a mechanism to try and retain this personnel. And so the board approved an incentive process, incentive scheme that seeks to do exactly that, to keep a good number of all the air traffic controllers within the organization, within the business. One would say, why is it an ex gratia? It's an ex gratia because we do not want it to balloon the salary bill over a period of time. And so this is not an amount that will be payable into perpetuity. It's not part of the cost to company. The status with the CEO, the board is seized with this matter, and in due course, the board will pronounce on the process that has unfolded with the CEO. At this point in time, we are unable to express a view on this matter. It's a view that is seized with the board, and in due course, the board will make the necessary pronouncement. I will then ask Machoba to address the issue of the single runway approvals.
Thank you very much, CEO. In fact, before I start with the single runway, let me go back to the issue of the question raised by SABC. I missed that one. Sorry about that. It's the issue of the obsolescence of procedures. So the procedures that the CEO referred to, they are the old technology type of procedures. So they are the procedures that use terrestrial-based or ground infrastructure, as opposed to the new way of navigating from point A to point B, where you're using satellite. So those are the ones that we have engaged the industry, and 27 of those will be withdrawn. So no impact to operations. If really that was your worry, there shouldn't no impact at all. Currently, they are suspended. The industry is not using them. Hence, they need to be withdrawn. So it's the process that we need to follow before the end of the year to make sure that they are withdrawn. On the issue of the single runway operation, ordinarily, ideally would want to have all the runways with approach procedures. But with limited resources, as the CEO has indicated, you need to have this balancing act. We need to make sure that you spread your resources to address the entire airports. All the airports in the country are taken care of. So if we prioritize OR Tambo, Kinshasa, and Cape Town, and make sure that it's got all the procedures that you need, you're going to have a problem with the other airports. So hence, we have prioritized certain airports, and we did not just decide on this particular runway. We have consulted with the industry and also taken into consideration the prevailing weather, because as you would know, that the aircraft land into the wind, so you would have to take those into consideration when you prioritize which procedures to design first before you do the entire. We did indicate that by July 2026, our airports should have all instrument approach procedures. OR Tambo, Cape Town, as well as Kinshasa should have your sits and starts, which is the, in another language, procedures that guides the aircraft to depart as well as to land. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Machoba. Maybe before through you, CEO, can I just bring in this question to say, if we expedited Kruger and Mpumalanga, why don't we do the same for the rest? It's a question again from another journalist.
And I will use Polokwane as well as Kruger so that it becomes easier to follow. So Polokwane and Kruger, they were done at the same time, sent to the regulator. The regulator approved both procedures. And then the chart, fortunately, the chart for Kruger was approved before Polokwane chart was approved. So the Polokwane chart has not been approved. It's still with the CAA. And we were managed to reinstate the suspended Kruger procedure via what we call the Hand Amendment. In other words, changing the current procedure to reflect the new approved procedure. But with Polokwane, you won't be able to do that because the changes in the new procedure are significant. It's the new procedure. It's way better than the old procedure, but we are unable to hand amend that particular procedure. Hence, we're finding ourselves in that predicament. Thank you. Shall
I
leave
think
now?
we are fine. You can take your seat, CEO. I'll request Guy Leach. I think the question around retention has been partly responded to. Maybe there's a new question from your side. I'll take 3 last questions, colleagues, from the room and then 2 from the online, because most of the questions are interlinked and they have already been responded to in one way or the other. Brave to have a live presser considering all the troubles you have created for yourself. Well done, Air Traffic and Navigation Services, SOE Limited, ATNS. Well done. That's a comment from Facebook, colleagues. It's not from me. Thank you. Togozo, over to you.
Just a follow-up question for Josiah, please. You said that it's been a while since you engaged local governments and municipalities when it comes to the pool of talents. Is there a particular reason why? If you could just maybe expand on that a little bit. That was all.
Okay, thank you, Togozo. Katleho, and then I think that will be the last one, and then last one from Kailichi. Okay, Katleho and then Kai. Thank you.
Yeah, mine is also a follow-up, from the SABC. It's a follow-up on the ex gratia commitment and the incentive scheme that you've started as ATNS. I mean, at the core of some of the challenges that you're experiencing would be the fact that you're not able to keep the staff, the critical staff that have been moving. Don't you reckon that it would be prudent maybe to approach the department to give you more money that would go into ensuring that this becomes a part of what happens in your book? Have you communicated this with the minister around some of the challenges on retention? Is there someone, do you need more money, as ATNS, to ensure that at least as you come up with these strategies, they are supported by funding? As you say that this ex gratia scheme is not something that you're going to retain, it's not coming from your book. Is there somewhat of an opportunity here, to approach maybe the minister as we go into the budget as well, the midterm budget policy statement? Do you need more money as ATNS to ensure that you're able to keep up with some of these challenges that you're experiencing? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'll try and keep my questions short and sweet. My first question is quite simply, are you keeping up? Your numbers that you put up were very impressive, but I note that NOTAM's recently showed that 17 Cape Town procedures had been suspended, which makes me very worried that actually, you're not keeping up on the hub airports, and as fast as you're renewing procedures, so others are dying. My next question relates to the Civil Aviation Authority. I'm dismayed to see that you're essentially locked into their AIRAC cycle in terms of approvals. It seems a real pity that you have to wait that long for every cycle before you can get an approval published. And of course, it creates absurdities as well, like having a Christmas Day approval. Who's going to be around to actually start operating on the Christmas Day cycle? And finally, just a question that hasn't been raised at all, is that there should be quite a large pool of talent in the Air Force and the SAF. Are those not being utilized, exploited, and so on? Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. You can proceed. You can choose where you start from, Togozo, Katleho, and then Kailich. Thank you.
Right. I will start off with the question around whether we need more money or not. The ex gratia wasn't budgeted for. That's a fact. And ATNS has had to absorb it without it having been funded. But if you take into account how we are funded as an entity, you would then appreciate the process that we are undertaking. We go out and engage with the industry, working together with the economic regulator, whereby we provide them with our business plans effectively for the next 5 years. And included in those business plans, we would indicate the kind of challenges we are facing and be seeking to have a tariff that somewhat would cover for this kind of costs. So that process is referred to as the permission application process. We are currently in that space, and all of these things are, what the both parties assist with to say, how do we ensure that ATNS is able to retain the staff complement? What we wouldn't really want is, maybe let me put it this way: the best approach we have arrived at as an entity is to build the pipeline continuously so. Because even if we were to pay what the UAE pays, it may not necessarily be affordable for the industry in the long term, in that whatever we pay to the air traffic controllers, would have to get that money back from the industry. If the industry is willing to cover that full cost, by all means, we would pay our air traffic controllers 3 million, 4 million. But because it's not affordable, what's then the best way to build the capacity? It's through the pipeline. Equally, because it takes so much longer to get a body behind position, particularly at OR Tambo. If you have 5-10 people leave at a particular point in time, it then sets you back 2-3 years to catch up. So the easiest or the most optimal way to ensure that we never get ourselves here again is to just pump and ramp up the pipeline. And that's what we are proceeding to do. We have approached the minister in the past 2 years for funding, but it was for systems. And we got some money from the minister in that regard. Insofar as the operational expenses are concerned, we're working through the permission application process to ensure that we do get the necessary funding. Must indicate that if we are struggling, we would go to the fiscus and knock on the door of the minister for more additional funding. But at this point in time, for this year, the organization was able to absorb the cost, even though it wasn't budgeted for. I would then request Machoba, who would then address the issues as raised by Guy Leach, as well as the local government engagements. The government engagements will be attended to by Josiah.
Thank you very much, CEO. Guy, indeed, Cape Town as well as Kinshasa, they remain one of the airports that without the efficiency procedures, for a lack of a better word, let me just indicate that they are called efficiency procedures, but the approach procedures, they've been finalized, they are being flown as we speak. So as part of our maintenance program, so in the new year, we will start tackling Cape Town as well as Kinshasa sits and starts to make sure that you have efficiency at those airports. Indeed, you mentioned the AREC cycle, and for the benefit of everyone, it's the Aeronautical Information Regulation and Control system, which is really a system that controls the dissemination of information that needs to go to the safety flight management system of the aircraft. So when the procedure is completed, it's approved, the chart is approved, you can't just make a switch and the procedure becomes available. It needs to be sent to the data service providers like your Jefferson for them to load that information into the flight management system. So after 28 days, then it becomes available to aircraft for them to be able to use it. So yeah, so it's it's the regulation. We can't. There is nothing we can do. We need to observe that the industry has raised concerns with regards to hand amendment, where it really introduces certain risks. Hence, now we're working with the industry. Before we do any hand amendment, we work with the industry. If they are not comfortable, we'll have to observe the ERAC cycle and dump that quick win or process. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. I think there's two questions that I need to address. The first one, I think I saw it coming. I did indicate when I opened up that we do work with various agencies in tapping into the recruitment areas that we normally focus on. What specifically we haven't done lately is the issue of the local government and provincial government. But even that, through Department of Education and other agencies, we still tap the same areas where we've, as an example, we used to recruit in Eastern Cape directly with the Eastern Cape province, but now we use other agencies to tap in the same market as well. So it's not as if we stopped recruiting from those areas. We're still continuing recruiting in those areas. The question regarding the use of Air Force personnel, we currently have recruited 10 from the Air Force, worked with the Air Force. We also have a memorandum of understanding with the Air Force where we work with them in trying to train our air traffic controllers. And currently with 6 of the SEF personnel are doing what we call air traffic service assistance. And we have 3 additional in Cape Town and Lanseria doing air traffic control. And we're also cognizant of the fact that we can't go and recruit all the Air Force, then the Air Force will not have any air traffic controllers. So we do take with due consideration of their capacity as well, and also to make sure that we, exchange resources, etc., etc. And we are indeed using the Air Force. I think that's. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Josiah. Colleagues, I think this is a right moment for us to wrap up. There's a lot of questions. The CEO, I want to say, okay. I want to say, let's wrap up here, colleagues. The CEO will be undertaking a roadshow, media roadshow, as requested by yourselves, meaning that you'll have ample time to discuss these things with him, across the table, in your studios, in your radio stations. So may I request let me say that, let's wrap. But before we wrap, let me just ask this question that came through online as well, because I promised people are asking, CEO, you said this matter is going to be wrapped up, issues of procedures in July. Does it mean in the next 8 to 9 months we will be experiencing flight disruptions or not? That's the one question that I want us to end on that note. The last one is just an assurance from, I think, from you asked the issue of G20. Yes, let's close it up with those 2 questions. And then what's going to happen, I'll come through now just to say where to from now. Just those 2 questions as we wrap up. Otherwise, the media, we are going to be available to talk to you in the coming days. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me start off with the G20 question and indeed confirm that we are ready to host G20 from ATNS perspective. We do not anticipate any glitches relating to G20. As we have indicated, the airports designated for G20 are having flight procedure designs in place, flight procedures in place. And the only challenge is the Polokwane, but bear in mind that Polokwane is not a designated one. It is rather a parking lot in the event there is an overflow at OR Tambo. And we have other airports which can be switched quickly should there be such an eventuality. Regarding the July 2026, no, with the exception of Polokwane, that's coming through in December 2025. We do not expect any challenges. While there may be, procedures that are not in place, remember what we have indicated is that for all the predominantly used runways, we are fully covered. So an airport may have 5-10 procedures, and we have prioritized the predominantly used ones. So now we are in the process of ensuring that all of them, even those that are not predominantly being used, are then maintained no later than July 2026. Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleagues. I think that yes, the presentation is going to be shared with you, colleagues. This marks the end of our presentation this morning, colleagues. Thank you so much for coming through. Like I've said, the CEO will be available. We'll just undertake a mini media tour as requested by yourself. Will be available to take meetings, to take like now Togo's wants to have an interview the CEO, and then Katleho afterwards. We are free, we're a transparent organization. And by the way, we know our story as we have seen here. Lastly, colleagues, we also want to take you to our operations, to see our operations live. Most of our guys sit on our towers. We want to do that. We want to show you where we train our air traffic controllers. We want to show you how we control the airspace. So we are planning something end of November. We are going to communicate with you. Please make yourself available when we do invite you for that particular tour, and also a media day where you will talk to us as well as see where we operate from. Otherwise, let us be free to engage. You know our contacts, you know how to call us, you know how to engage us. Thank you so much for your time. I request that you enjoy the finger lunch that have been arranged for yourselves. Don't go, let us meet, let us talk. The CEO and some of the executives will be available to take the questions offline. Thank you so much again. Have a great day.